Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Fit Couples Perspective. Here we are, another episode.
Why are you turning like your neck is hurt?
Because my neck is hurt.
Okay. Hey guys, we are back with you for another great fitness episode. So, do you know what we're talking about this week?
I do not know what we're talking about.
We actually normally do, I'll have a topic and then I'll kind of throw it on him on the fly and then vice versa. Mm-hmm. So I think that it keeps it really...
we want it to be organic. We want the conversation to be not scripted, but just an organic conversation like we might normally have together.
Yes. So, we are going to talk about fitness or gym slang.
Gym slang.
Yeah,
huh?
and I'm gonna ask you if you know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're gonna get right into it. Okay, so the first thing is newbie.
Newbie.
I think that sounds like a pretty I don't think that was super slangy, but
I think
what would you say?
But what about this? I mean, newbie, somebody who's just starting off in the gym, but what might be better is newbie gains. Let me flip that back on you. Newbie gains.
Ooh.
So gym slang, what does newbie gains mean?
You just started steroids and
no, that's not it.
No,
wrong.
Okay. I mean, I would just figure that the gains were just new, and I mean that's all I could say.
No, wrong.
Okay. Oh,
here I am flipping it around on you. So newbie gains would be that person that just started working out and now they're making a lot of gains. And they make a lot more gains when you first start working out than you do when you've been working out for a while. So newbie gains are where you have that person who just started working out and they get all the gains that we normally want to get, because you can't make the same kind of gains after you've been working out for 5, 10, 15 years.
I've never heard of that.
Because people when they first start working out, they just see progress crazy, and it's
okay, that sounds just a guy, not women.
Women too.
No.
Women too.
It's the same thing with losing weight.
No.
Yeah, a guy
you're a newbie and you're gonna see better results because your body's just thank you so much for actually exercising. Okay. I'm gonna reward you with some progress.
Okay, sets. If someone's coming in there and they're like, oh, I gotta do another set, and you're brand new, and you're what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah, well, hopefully most people know what sets are, but not everybody does.
No.
And sets are where you have, that's the amount of repetitions that you would do in a set period of time. So, a set would be a certain number of repetitions that you would do, and then you would stop and take a break.
Oh. Not even take a break, but if you were on a machine, if you were on leg press, and somebody came over and said, how many more sets do you have? That means until you're done.
How many more grouping of those repetitions do you have? And some people, they get sets and reps confused, which maybe that's another one of your gym slangs.
Yeah. Okay, free weights. Someone was I gotta go get to the free weights, and you're wait, there's weights that are free in here?
There's weights that are free. None are free. They all cost.
Okay.
Free weights. So is this me? You're quizzing me and I'm giving you the answers.
Yeah.
Free weights are going to be anything that's not a machine. So essentially, free weights are those ones that openly move about. So that's going to be your dumbbells and your barbells. Anything that's not fixed to a device is going to be classified as a free weight. So that, again, dumbbells, plates, barbells, those would be free moving, not giving you a set range of motion like a machine would.
Okay, next. I just got a big pump.
A big pump. The pump.
Yeah. The
pump is where you get all that blood rushing into your muscles, and it makes the muscle appear a lot bigger than it normally would. And you feel that tightness too. And that happens because, when you start to work out, that muscle needs more oxygen, and blood carries oxygen. So as you get more blood to that muscle, it increases the volume of the muscle, which makes it look bigger, feel bigger. And the pump is one of the most amazing things ever that happened to mankind.
Wow.
True story.
Okay. This is kind of tagging along with one of the other ones that we said, but supersets.
Supersets. Now, supersets are supposed to be done using like opposing muscle groups. So technically a superset would be right when you go from one exercise immediately into another exercise. And they're normally done using opposing muscle groups. So like biceps to triceps or chest to back, shoulders to lat, something along those lines. Quads to hamstrings. But superset is essentially where you finish one of your sets and without any rest, you go immediately into a different exercise that is another set. And that makes it a superset because you now combine two different exercises essentially into one elongated set without any significant rest in between.
That's one of my favorite ways to work out.
I know it is. I know we could make a whole topic on supersets.
How much you hate them.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
I just think they're overused by some females in the gym.
Are you referring to anyone specific?
Not anybody in particular.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What if somebody came up to you and you were like a newbie at the gym and they said, hey, can you spot me? And you were like, what?
Spot me. Spot me means when somebody needs help during their set. So maybe it's just, you know, to be there for safety purposes, just to make sure nothing goes wrong. Usually happens on like a bench press. You know, so some of those exercises where if you get stuck on, you're kind of screwed. Whereas like a bicep curl, oh, I get stuck, I can't get it, I just let it fall down and it falls down by my side. But, you know, on a bench press, it falls down and it might kill you. So a spot would be where somebody's asking for your assistance to make sure that they're safely doing the movement. Now, you should always ask somebody when you're spotting them, like, how many reps are you going for? And I think that's important.
Yeah.
And try and get an idea. So if like a brand new person asks me for a spot in the gym, I might say, how many are you trying to get? Okay. Because I want to know like how much attention I need to like pay to that bar. So for example, if they say 1, it's like, all right, on
This
the
is
first
max,
one, I better be like ready to potentially help. Or if they say 10, it's like, okay, I'm going to be there, I'm going to watch it, but I know that they should have, you know, 7 or 8 reps in them before I need to potentially provide any kind of assistance. And I think it's helpful when you get that. And also asking people like, how do you want me to spot you? So like you were spotting me the other day and, you know, you were spotting me from my elbows, I think. And I was like, hey, could you spot me from my wrists?
Yeah.
And that's okay to like ask somebody, right? And so, you know, when you're spotting people, ask them how you want to be spotted. Like you asked me to spot you the other day while you were doing RDLs, right? And I was like, how do you want me to spot you?
And back squats.
And back squats, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I actually usually
it's like annoying when I'm trying to work out and she's like, please spot me on these exercises, but I do it because I love her. So yes.
Yeah, you really like it when you spot me for squats.
True story.
Okay, gains. I know that we're kind of piggybacking on the one that you brought up when you said newbie gains, but like gains. If someone was like, oh, I see you getting some gains.
Getting some gains. You're gaining some muscle. You're gaining some muscle size.
Okay.
So if somebody says gains, you know, that usually indicates that they're making some kind of progress towards gaining some muscular size. They're getting bigger, but in a good way, right? So, you know, you don't want to be making the gains with the fat. Gains usually.
I don't think girls like the gains comment.
I would not recommend making the gains comment to a female, but some very small percentage of them might like that. But gains, you're looking bigger. You're looking bigger, mostly muscle.
Okay, what if someone comes up to you and is like, "Oh, are you cutting?"
Cutting. So that means you're getting smaller.
Oh no. Typically,
or just getting leaner.
Yeah.
So you know. Like cutting isn't one, like there's some ways like when I'm actually cutting or preparing for a show that there's words that they say that are like, oh, that's annoying for you to say because it indicates that I'm getting smaller. If somebody was like, dang man, are you cutting? I think that's more so to me like you're looking more defined. So not necessarily like, hey, you look small. Like some people come and be like, wow, you're getting skinny. And it's like, it's not what I was aiming for here, you know, but cut, I go for cut.
You can go for that. Okay. What about bulking? So the opposite.
Bulking. Bulking just means you're getting big. You're just getting big.
Another one not to say to a girl.
Not to say to a girl. I'd probably not ask a girl if she's bulking. Yeah. And you could like, but what's another way? So if I were to go up to you and like you'd say you were, you know, I didn't know you, and you know, or
you're
maybe I
coming
was
up to me, you
maybe
know,
I was an acquaintance of you,
Okay.
and I said something like, obviously I can't say like, hey, are you bulking, or hey, you're making them gains, or anything like that. What if I were to say something like, wow, you're looking jacked today?
Yeah, so that's another word that I was gonna bring
Is
up.
jacked appropriate?
Jacked is definitely better than like any of the other words. But like I've had guys, and you probably don't like this, but like there's guys that have come up to me and like said specific like specific like muscles. They're like, you know, that look like more jacked. You know, like, oh, you're
Terry's minor is looking good today.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like your gluteus maximus is I'm just kidding.
Sure they do.
No, but like, oh, like you have like really good tricep muscles or like whatever. So that's like another way for a guy, I think, like, especially, yeah, to like detour from like a bulking
Point
conversation
out like
too.
specific areas, like, hey, like you look like you're making some good gains in your stomach muscles.
I'm just saying there is ways around saying bulking, or like you said, jacked. Like that's an overall better term than like bulking. So, okay, negatives. What if some of you was like, oh, you doing negatives or
The negatives, that eccentric portion is what it would scientifically be called, but that's the lowering of the movement. So if you're doing like a bench press, it's on the way down. If you're doing a squat, it's on the way down. And somebody said you're doing negatives, that typically means you're going really, really slow on the way down of that movement.
Okay. What about pre-workout? Someone's like, oh, you got your pre-workout.
Pre-workout,
Like,
that's
what?
that drink that you have before you go to the gym that's intended to make your workout better. So, you know, most people have some kind of beverage before they work out. They would call that their pre-workout, which is kind of funny because it's not really like, you know, pre-workout could be a number of different things before your workout, but everybody just kind of, you know, assumes it's drink.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, what's your pre-workout? Somebody's probably going to say a supplement when it could be like, I like to listen to music and stretch a little bit.
That's true. What about full range of motion?
Full range of motion is something that you don't ever really see in the gym. And that's where people go all the way down and all the way up.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. Especially on the bench, you do not see that very often.
So full range of motion would be like, safely, what can you do like the entire rep? You're going into a full stretch on the way down, and then you're going all the way up on the way up, which is not something that you see super often in the gym.
Do you feel like, this is off tangent, but do you feel like full range of motion is how you should do every exercise? Or what about the people that like, I mean, there are jacked guys that are sitting benching like not ever to their chest, or they're squatting and they're never going below like
But that's the problem. That's the problem. Is a lot of people look at other jacked people and think, well, maybe that's how I should do it.
Well, I know, but what do you think about that? Like, do you think every exercise is intended to be a full range of motion exercise?
I think almost always, yes. There's always exceptions, but almost always people are going to see greater benefit from going full range of motion than they are partial. However, there's always circumstance. Like right now with my knee, I can't do a full range of motion squat, so I have to do a partial range of motion, and that's just because it causes too much pain.
Okay. Isolation exercises.
Isolation. So isolation exercises are where you specifically try to target a muscle group, okay? And it generally only requires one joint being moved. So for example, while like a pull-up is a compound exercise, you have
you're getting ahead of the game.
You have
it's not an isolation.
your elbow and your shoulder moving, right? And so that would be like a compound. You're still working your biceps, but we're not isolating the biceps. So an isolation exercise is where you specifically, single joint movement, are just trying. So that would be like a preacher curl, right? Where we're really setting some specific area that we're trying to target, and we're trying to isolate that muscle group. And the same thing would be true, like, you know, a squat is a compound exercise. You know, it still works your quads, but it doesn't isolate your quads because you're also working your glutes and things like that. But a leg extension isolates your quads.
So this is an easy transition into the next thing, which is a compound. exercise.
Compound exercise is any exercise that works multiple muscle groups, and generally speaking, you have multiple joints that are moving during that. So like I said, with the squat, you have the hips and the knees that are moving, and even the ankles that are playing a role into that. So you have even with like a pull up, again, you've got shoulder movement, you've got elbow movement in there. So those are movements that are going to involve multiple joints and typically several muscle groups.
Okay, what if somebody came up to you and asked to work in with you? What does that mean?
I had somebody ask to work in with me today. And that just means...
Was it a girl?
Maybe, I don't know. And that, so that's somebody asking if they can do that specific machine or exercise that you're doing while you're taking a break. So most people, they should be taking a break for at least 60 seconds in between from the time they finish that set until they start their next one. So that's when somebody just does a set while you're resting, and then you would do the set while they're resting. Great gym etiquette to let people work in with you.
Ripped. This is like another kind of like piggybacks on jacked, but yeah. I still gotta ask it.
Ripped just means your low levels of body fat, right? Muscles be popping, and body fat not showing a whole lot. So ripped, it's kind of like jacked, but jacked would indicate a larger muscle size. Ripped is more so the level of body fat that you're at.
Okay, what about swole?
Swole. Swole is probably another word you probably don't want to use with females, if I had to guess.
I guess it's like on this, I think that would be like on the scale of like not use it as much, but I wouldn't be like...
I mean, swole would generally be like your muscles look swole, right?
Yeah.
And so that's, but you're looking big. Something's looking big.
Yeah, that's
Something's
true.
looking kind of jacked. But the difference, jacked to me is like a sharp, like we're defined.
Mm-hmm.
Swole's like, I might not be defined, but I'm definitely looking like muscles are big.
What would you define me as?
You?
You?
Jacked, ripped, shredded, diced, sliced, dry. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, those are the only words that I'm allowed to say on camera.
Okay. Macros.
Macros refers to your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats. So it's your macronutrients that make up your calories. Mm-hmm. Alcohol also falls in there as well. So macros are the different food categories that make up your calories.
Okay. That is the list that I have. Do you have any that you want to ask me off the top of your head?
Any that I want to ask you? I do. What's a drop set?
A drop set is when you have like, depending on like what your weight is. I'm not going to say like your full amount of weight that you can do, but you drop. So you do like, let's just say you normally do 20 pounds on your bicep curl. You do a set of those, let's just say 10, and then you go drop that weight, go get 10s as fast, or like go get 5s, or like a lower amount of weight as fast as you can, and then do it until failure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And different from a superset in that a superset would be typically two different exercises that you do.
Same.
It's the same exercise that you do back to back. What about a rest pause set?
A rest pause set. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Acting like you're so cool.
Stumped her. So rest pause is where it's similar to a drop set, except for instead of immediately doing the next exercise, you typically don't change the weight, but you only rest a short period of time. So usually like 10 seconds. So I might do like 10 reps of lat pull down, and then I just pause, a rest pause for about 10 seconds, and I do the same weight again. So I might get 10 the first set, and then I pause that short rest, and then I might get like 4 the next one. And we call those, all these go into the next category, which is just set intensifiers or set extenders that add that little extra bit of intensity on there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that I could have like ended up guessing that if I wanted to. Yeah, I could have.
Couldn't have, no way.
Yep. I would have gotten it. Anything else? Any other slangs that
there's tempo. What's tempo?
Well, I mean, that would be like let's just say you were doing like a chest press and you were going down, like, let's just say your tempo was 3 to 2 and you're 1, 2, 3 and then up 2.
There you go. Yeah. Tempo's an important one.
Yeah, because you can change a lot with your workout. Like I've kind of been messing around with that a little bit lately with like bicep curls and doing like a different tempo with that, or like even holding for a certain amount of time and stuff. So
what about this one, Perry workout?
You're working out with your friend Perry.
So I think actually Perry workout would refer to like around your workout. So, you know, some people might say like I try to have the majority of my carbs Perry workout, which would be like around your workout. Okay. I believe so.
Okay.
Some of this stuff, it's like, I think it's official, and some of it's like somebody just started saying it, and it's, you got to kind of figure it out along the way.
What about people taking vitamin S?
Vitamin S. That was one I heard recently. I had to bring it up.
I had to say it.
That was one I heard recently.
Vitamin S,
some guy in the gym was like, you know, and I haven't started the vitamin S yet. And I was like, what? He goes, you know, I haven't started the vitamin S. And I came to the conclusion that was steroids, you know, but vitamin, steroid was kind of good.
Yeah, it's kind of good.
I mean, it was kind of funny.
Yeah,
it was kind of funny. I mean, we could go on this one. We could say, what's gear?
That's definitely like some things that are not like that you could get off the regular market in the supplement. So that's what I would say. Anything like that you couldn't go buy at GNC for.
GNC doesn't sell everything.
They don't sell gear or vitamin S, as far as I know.
What about this one, Natty?
Oh, Natty, that's a good one. That is obvious. I mean, obvious to me that it's a person that has never taken any vitamin S or gear or steroids. Okay.
So here's a follow-up question, and we're maybe getting a little offhand. What's vitamin S?
Steroids.
What are steroids?
Steroids are, there's probably like, there's a vast variety. It's kind of like, I take vitamins. What's a vitamin? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that there's like I mean, we could go like so in depth with that, but steroids isn't just like one. Like, I think that that's where it gets like not a bad rap, but like where people just like clump it all into like one thing, where it's definitely like not at all.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's why.
Not that I would know anything.
No, that's just one where I'm saying like.
But I do know that.
Because people do that. They like a lot of times in the gym, they'll be like, oh, that guy's natty, or he's not natty, or are you natty, you know? And it's like, what does that mean? Like, I don't think anybody's really classified what does natty mean.
Yeah.
So.
I would say, and taking anything that's like off the market type of stuff. I mean, yeah.
What's off the market?
Like you couldn't go buy like at GNC or off bodybuilding.com. Let's just say that. Anything that you couldn't buy off of there. What do you think that it would be? What would you consider
I think there's so many questions that you have to ask, right? Yeah. When it comes to that, is it somebody that's abusing those things, you know, or is it somebody who's prescribed those things?
Well, no, it wouldn't be a prescribed. I wouldn't say it would be a prescribed. I mean, they're still taking, because
it's the same thing, right? You know,
it is
somebody's
the same,
prescribed that.
But they wouldn't be natty, but they also wouldn't be. I feel like the gear is almost
they're not
like
natty, but they're not on gear.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what is that person called?
That person's called a half natty.
Half natty. There
half
you
natty.
go.
That's the new term.
There you go. What about this slang term? Half natty lighting.
Half natty lighting.
Because
it sounds like some like not very good lighting, like for your like if you're taking pictures.
Very good lighting.
Oh, it's good.
Half natty lighting is like that.
I would think
that lighting that makes a natty person look like maybe they're not natty. Maybe they're half natty now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting. There's probably more that we're forgetting, and we want to know what are those gym slang words that we forgot. Well,
and maybe even what you initially like heard, and you were like, "What are they talking about?" You know?
Yeah.
In the gym. So that'll be interesting to know.
It would be interesting to know. There's more that keep coming to my head as we're thinking about it. Let me ask one more.
Okay.
What's functional training?
Functional training? I would say, this is my definition of it, but like, let's just say somebody golfed a lot. They would go into the gym and do like exercises that like pertain to like golfing. So like maybe they would get like a cable and like Like a function for like that they would do. So like maybe another functional training is like step ups for people that like want to
like step on things.
Go up their stairs at house. But like, no, I'm saying like, or even like hiking. Like I could see somebody going with their back, like I've seen people with backpacks on that have gone on the stair climber. So in my opinion, that's the definition of it. But there's probably a better definition than that. What is it?
No, I mean, I think that's what it is. You know, it's like, is it transferring over to what you're doing in daily life?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was meaning.
But let us know what slang words we're forgetting here, and let us know what you guys think. Let us know if we got them wrong. Maybe we got one wrong. And if we did, who is the person that made the right definition for it? So, hopefully, there's a gym beginner out there that feels much more comfortable having some conversations in the gym.
Just
because of our discussion.
I would not suggest asking anyone if they were natty or, or if a girl is bulking. So that's what you get from
those are good
this.
things. And I did have a person one time ask me if I was, hey, you testing?
You testing, dang.
I only heard that once. The vitamin S and the testing,
I mean,
I only heard once.
As a guy, it's a kind of a compliment.
Kind of, yeah. It's just a weird way of saying it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we'll talk to you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.